So here's the $1 million question. I think a lot of people that we talk to, they like the idea of switching. They may not be completely happy with their current service provider, but they're a little bit scared about the transition from one system to another. So if you could kind of talk about it, I know yours was slightly different because you had SAP, but still the building blocks are there. Transitioning from one system to another, the learning curve, data transfer, that kind of stuff. If you could talk to that, just give us an idea of how that worked.
Yeah, we actually did transition from ExpressYard to RX first, and then completed the rest of the implementation with SAP. So it was too much. We realized it was too much to do all at once. So we did really plan to do the transition from ExpressYard to RX first. The way we did it was, it's a little complicated, but it's not all that complicated. It does require some work, and it is going to be a little bit painful, but I think the benefits at the other end far exceed the pain that you have to go through. What we did is we made sure that within ExpressYard, we cleaned up and finished off any CARS outstanding invoices that were needed to get done. And so what we did is we migrated all the open projects that we had in ExpressYard, and we migrated those into RX. The beauty is that RX provides a 500 byte file format import tool. So it took me probably an hour or two to go into ExpressYard and download 100 or so open projects that we had in ExpressYard into the 500-bit file. And using the tool that RX has, I was able to just load them right up into RailcarRX. So all the estimates that I already had in place and completed were migrated over that way. And it literally took, half a day or a day or so to complete.
So
the other thing that RX...
any data. You didn't lose any data. Yeah.
No, it just takes a little bit of time, but it's not an overwhelming amount of time, right? The other good thing is that you guys were able to take our customer lists and actually preload it into the system. You were able to take our item master and our inventory and preload it into the RX system. So we didn't have to go through any data entry for that stuff.
Right.
The real work for us was to move all those 500-bit files. And in ExpressYard, of course, you have to download each file one at a time, so it takes a little bit of time, and then we load them up one at a time in RX. But you don't lose any of your data, and it's really the next day you can start up with RX.
Sure.
There's the resistance comes more from people internally, right?
We hear that from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. But it was amazing because after probably a couple days of our biller using the system, he came back and said, you know what, it is better. Like just adding line items to BRCs or pumping out your estimate. You have to get used to it because the tools are like different, right? But after a couple days of using it, you start to realize that the functionality is all there. Everything works in the same way. It just the steps are a little bit different, and once you get used to them, you actually become more efficient at it. The copying and pasting tools and the templates and things like that, the functionality is just that much better and efficient. That it makes the biller's life a lot easier.
Yeah. And probably the multi-update too, where you can multi-update multiple lines in a BRC all at once too. I'm sure that's
that's
nice
huge
feature to have. Yeah.
Well, that's a really nice feature too for when you have a split bill situation. You need to bill two customers on the same rail car. When you import that BRC, when you move it from ExpressYard or another system into RX, you then have to go in and I'll do the multi-update and to split the bill between two customers, right? But it works so smoothly, so quick. It's really not that difficult. So